شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا الشمس كورت وإذا النجوم انكدرت وإذا الجبال سيرت وإذا العشار عطلت وإذا الوحوش حشرت وإذا البحار سجرت وإذا النفوس زوجت وإذا الموءودة سئلت بأي ذنب قتلت وإذا الصحف نشرت وإذا السماء كشطت وإذا الجحيم سعرت وإذا الجنة أزلفت علمت نفس ما أحضرت فلا أقسم بالخنس الجوار الكنس والليل إذا عسعس والصبح إذا تنفس إنه لقول رسول كريم ذي قوة عند ذي العرش مكين مطاع ثم أمين وما صاحبكم بمجنون ولقد رآه بالأفق المبين وما هو على الغيب بضنين وما هو بقول شيطان رجيم فأين تذهبون إن هو إلا ذكر للعالمين لمن شاء منكم أن يستقيم وما تشاءون إلا أن يشاء الله رب العالمين.
The lesson of our talk today, and that is that you guys, when you're out on the road, wherever you are, whether in your high school, college, you need to lower your gaze. Your eyes are the windows to your soul, and if you're going to let every poison thing just enter your eyes, it's going to contaminate your soul. So the lesson for all the guys and the girls: guys, watch out for girls, and girls, watch out for guys. وآخر دعواهم الحمد لله رب العالمين.
Hello. Hey, baby girl. How you doing? Yeah, I know you love it when I call you that. Hey, what are you doing tonight? Plan for this? No. Today's date night, Saturday night, remember? Yeah, I told you we were going to go see Superman together. But you know you can't cancel that on me. It's my treat. I'm paying for your movie. Come on, sweetheart. Let's go. Yeah? Okay, I'll let you make it up to me after, but I promise. It's going to be awesome. We're going to go see Superman. Clark Kent can't go without Lois Lane. Alright, I'll see you in 15 minutes, okay? Take care, sweetheart. Hey, sister, how are you doing today? Assalamu alaikum. What's going on? No? Okay, I don't know if you know me. I'm Sid. My dad and I we usually come here. I think I know your dad. Doesn't he own the gas station down by 13th? Yeah, him and I talk all the time. By the way, his job looks really cute on you, miniaturized perfectly. I mean, beautiful, mashallah. Yeah. Okay, so I'm kind of short on money right now. I only have $1 with me, and I love kids, cats, and tricks both. So, how about you and I come over there, chat up a deal with you, and yeah, of course, I'm single like $1 bill. Come on.
Did you just have a toddler about this? Stop, Philip. Dialogue is calm. Assalamu alaikum. Is this his father? Yeah, this is the Imam of Islamic Society of Nebraska. Yeah, I'm calling regarding your son. What's that background noise? You're at the movies, and you dropped your monstrous son here for us to babysit him? What is he doing? He's chatting up with every girl on the block. And this snake was in our khatra just right now and had no effect on him. Oh, you did a good job of raising him, all right? You're so busy with your gas station and cell phone stores, you don't have time to raise him. Now, I suggest you come and pick him up right now before I make a khutbah out of him tomorrow. Yeah, you're coming in 5 minutes? I'll see you here. Ma'as-salama.
Sid! Sid! Where are you? Sid! There you are. You know, I just got a call from the Imam Sahib.
Yeah.
I've been dropping you at the masjid, and this is what you do? Talk to the girls?
Do what? Calm down.
This is not our values. This is not our culture.
Yours, not mine.
No, this is not right. What kind of clothes are these?
You bought them.
I brought you to this country, I paid for your education, I paid for your car, and this is how you treat it?
It's not that big of a deal. You really need to
No, this is it. But you know what we're going to do? We are going to pack up our bags and move back to Pakistan. No, that's it. You know, wait until your mama finds out about this.
Guys, remember, this is your culture, not mine.
But this is it, and do whatever, do whatever you do.
Hey, it's me again. What are you up to right now? Yeah, I know you were getting ready, but can you just pack up your bags quick? No, I just got a little thing with my dad. Just pack up your bags. Okay, my website is already up on the computer. Just go on Priceline, Chicago, California, New York. I don't care. Buy 2 tickets. We're heading out of this town tomorrow. I don't care. I'm not about to live here anymore. You and me are running away. Yeah, I'll see you in 15. Bye.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور انفسنا ومن سيئات اعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله اما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال الله سبحانه وتعالى وليستعفف الذين لا يجدون نكاحا حتى يغنيهم الله من فضله وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ومن يستعفف يعفه الله وفي دعاء رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. My dear respected brothers, elders, sisters in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah An-Nur, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives an order that have this iffa, isti'afaf. What is this? Iffa literally is to refrain. Refrain from haram, in one definition, refrain from haram, and also to refrain from asking others for something. It is also to maintain your purity, to maintain your integrity. Now, what does that mean, integrity? Big word. I don't mean just like it has a lot of letters. I mean it's a big word. The ma'na, the meaning of this word integrity. When you say the integrity of something, right, it's lost its integrity, it basically means that it is broken. So maintain your integrity. Do not become broken. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to have this iffa for whom? الَّذِينَ لَا يَجِدُونَ نِكَاحًا, for those who cannot find a spouse. حَتَّى يُغْنِيَهُمُ rahimahumullah, until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes them the ghani. Ghani makes them self-sufficient, makes them independent, provides for them. And how does he do this? In fadli. The fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the fadl of something is like extra. So when you say from the fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is meaning from the magnanimity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is such, Allah is so kareem, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just gives and gives and gives. We don't deserve it, but Allah still gives and gives and gives. So basically also in this word is that you have this trust that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no matter what your situation, no matter what your condition, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that can provide for you. But this effort must be intact. To refrain from haram, to keep from asking people, to maintain your purity, your blamelessness, your integrity as a Muslim. And alhamdulillah, in this skit, I'll be honest with you, a skit like this in a lot of masajid would not fly. I'm telling you, I'll be quite honest with you. They would not tolerate this. Whether it's the committee or board members, or whether it's the elders and the uncles in the community, they would not tolerate this. Why? Because we have a very serious problem. And first and foremost, because this issue that we're talking about today is just a symptom. It is not the problem. It is just a symptom of a far larger, far greater problem. So only thing, as far as the root, we're not going to get into that. Today we're only talking about one problematic fruit on that tree. But understand this, that the original problem, the asl issue, is not this. By any stretch of the imagination, it is not this. This is a result of a far bigger problem. But again, considering the time and also considering the depth and weight of that asl problem, this is not the form. So we'll stick with this one. MashaAllah, we are living in a society, as the Khatib mentioned in the skit, where our young people are being bombarded on a regular basis. They are being bombarded through billboards, magazine covers, and it's not their magazines. It's the magazines at the grocery store at the checkout aisle. It's the magazines that, as an adult, I have 5 children, I have 3 teenagers, and 2 under the age of 5. Trust me, I understand. That when you see it, you're with your child, you blush. You blush because you feel ashamed that this thing is out in public. They are being bombarded with it, and that's just a magazine cover. We're not even going to talk about the dress of the both men and women in public places. Now with this advent of yoga pants, let's be real, the young brothers, please forgive me. The little guys, this is going to be completely over your head. I'm going to speak in all different types of codes, and you're going to look at me and say, what in the world is he talking about? Your parents will be like, I'm glad you don't understand. But it's kind of like talking about swimming to somebody who's never seen a body of water larger than a puddle. It's pointless. But one day, this will affect you too. And the ones that are smiling, like, it affects me now. Women are basically naked in public. And we cannot shelter our children. We cannot keep our young people inside of the house. They're going to see it, one way, shape, form, or the other. Whether it's magazines, billboards, public, TV, internet, video games. Yeah, video games. I was in California a couple of weeks ago, and I was at a sheikh's house. And his child was playing a video game, and some things popped up on the video game that I just, whoa. That's a video game? Right? And the kid was just playing along like it's normal. Like, I'm just trying to beat my high score. Whoa. Don't worry, I'm about to flip it. Oh, it's great, I think. This is the reality that we're living in today. The problem with that is that, number one, as adults, you and I cannot close our eyes, pun intended, to the problem. We cannot tell our young people, don't look at it. Because what's the first thing that you do? I was at the optometrist, and I was joking with them, and they're like, both your eyes, you have problems in both your eyes, and they're both equal, so you can switch your contacts and everything. I was like, yeah, you know why? When they tell you don't look at a solar eclipse, listen to them. They look at me like, really? I said, yes, I was in the 2nd grade, and my foolish 2nd grade teacher took us all outside with 2 pieces of paper with pinholes in them, right? And told us, we're going to go and we're going to witness a solar eclipse. We're going to hold one piece of paper over another piece of paper and you're going to watch the dot move, right? Don't look at the sun. So what's the first thing we did when we walked outside? Yeah, remember the kids, you look at the sun, of course. It's logical. It's the first thing that you don't look at the sun. We have a running joke, if you see a billboard or something, to the left, you tell brothers, don't look to the right. Everybody goes like this. Billboard's on the left, now you're safe. The billboard is on the right, you say, don't look to your left. Everybody turns that way. Why? It's a natural inclination. Ooh, it's something I'm not supposed to see. What do I want to do? Look at it. This is human nature. And unfortunately, we don't have such an environment in this. They're being bombarded. This society that we're living in is saturated with this nonsense. And what I'm talking about is a very lower level because as an adult, if this was an adult forum, you and I know that we would have to discuss other issues pertaining with young people and things that are going on that are outside of even the range of normal. I am dealing with youth on a regular basis. I do counseling, have been doing counseling with youth for over 15 years. And I'm telling you, the stories that I hear are horrific. A brother yesterday made a comment. He said, he was telling me about the situation of a sister that he went to high school with. And he made a statement. And he said that if her parents knew about her situation, they'd probably commit suicide. And the bad part about it was, after he explained what that situation was, he wasn't exaggerating. He wasn't exaggerating. So this is what our young people are going through. And as adults, you and I, we have to accept that. We have to accept that. This is what they're living with. This is what they're going through. And then on top of that, that's from the societal aspect. From the just natural internal aspect, from an Islamic point of view, we have to understand, according to Sharia, according to the fiqh, when we say that no, now you have to make your salah because you are badila. You have to make your salah. Your accountability has started. You have to fast. It is fardu for you to make salah now. It is fardu for you to fast. When we say that, what are we saying? You are an adult. We lose sight of that reality, that Islamic reality. They are adults at that age. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala considers them an adult. Because sometimes, a brother comes up and be like, brother, we can't expect them to be adults at that age. Well, this is not me. I didn't come up with this. You think I'm some type of genius that I came with Islam on my backpack? This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said they are adults at this point. Do you know that from the age of Sahaba, between some of the Sahaba and their children, they're only 12 to 13 years? 12 to 13 years between father and son. That's it. This is the reality. They are adults, and they have very adult inclinations, feelings, emotions, and as far as the physical aspect, which is what we use to gauge the fact that they are adults in the first place, is that not true? How do we gauge when a child has now entered into maturity, has entered into adulthood? Their hair becomes a certain length. They now wear a certain size of clothes. They have a certain vocabulary. No. It's related to what? It's related to that physical aspect. So naturally, everything comes along with that. The desires and the shahwa and everything is now coming along with that. It's a take-all package. And just because we deny and say, no, you don't feel that, you don't think that, and don't look at that, and it doesn't go away. And it's not going to go away. Just like it didn't go away for us. It didn't go away for us. So when that 15-year-old, 14-year-old, 16-year-old is hearing from their community members, is hearing from their parents that don't feel what you feel. Don't look. Don't think that way. Don't think about marriage. Focus on your education. Go to college. Get your bachelor's, then your master's, then your doctorate, then get a job, earn some money, buy a house, buy a car, save some money, then think about getting married when you're 30. Now that child with very adult desires is now looking with eyes as big as an owl, like, what is that? You told me math was important. Well, I'm doing it right now. And you're telling me that I'm going to get married in 14, 15, or 16 years. Do you know how long that is to a child? You're saying you're going to have to double your age before you get married. And then, don't look at this. Don't do this. Don't do that. And they're thinking, yeah, right. Because what happens? They go to school, and everybody else is doing it. And that's in the Muslim school. You want to talk about the public school? We have to send the young ones out of the room. I kid you not. Woo! You want to talk about what goes on in public schools? Allahu Akbar Kabir. Anybody under the age of 21 must leave. It's that bad. It really is that bad. So as an adult, realistically, that's a problem. Young people, the other side of the problem. Yes, it is true. More than likely, your parents do not understand. You are not incorrect. They come to me all the time. My parents don't understand me. They don't know what I'm going through. And then I tell them, you're right. What'd you say? You're right. I am. Yes. I know it. Why are you right? I don't know. Let me explain to you. Your parents came from another culture. They came from another way of life. They came with another understanding. They came with certain priorities in their life. Here we are a mosh posh of individuals. We live in a pluralistic society. We have every culture mixed together in a single community. We have all different age groups in a single community. You got Indians and Pakistanis and Bengalis and Palestinians and Syrians and Jordanians and Saudis and Indonesians and Malaysians and Bosnians and the indigenous population, the convert population. You have all of these and they're all jam-packed together. Everything has become mixed. The understanding of culture has now been morphed. It's been, as the kids would say, weirded out. And they are holding on to what they came with. Why? Because they know that back home, this works. Back home. But as you and I know, mashallah, if you have train tracks in front of you, what kind of vehicle do you need? Train. If you have a river in front of you, what happens if you try to drive a train? Doesn't go over too well. So according to the situation, you must use the proper mode of transportation to get from point A to point B. In this life, we are trying to get from this dunya to the akhirah, to the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, get to Jannah. And we need the proper vehicle for this situation. What worked back home doesn't work, and that's why you're right. So now what do we do? What do we do? Well, my parents won't listen. Okay, fine. Problem number one, parents won't listen. We need to talk to the parents and try to get the parents to listen. You agree? Yes. Now what about you? What do you do? All the problem is the parents? Well, if they would help me and if they understood and if they would... No. You see, at the end of the day, and this is a very basic principle, very basic understanding for every Muslim to understand, everybody has a sob story. Everybody. I sat one day and tried to think of a situation where somebody doesn't have a sob story, right? And even, I had a friend, okay, he grew up, he had been in a very wealthy home. His mother was famous, okay, in politics. Grew up in a very wealthy home, had everything you could possibly imagine. Lived in a huge house. They went to vacations to places I can't pronounce, okay? And you know what? He was depressed. Like, what's up with you? What's the problem? Why are you crying? Because I just want my father. I mean, you just want your father. He's dead. Stop blaming. No, I'm sorry. He's never around. He got me a fishing pole for a gift. He never takes me fishing. I just want to go fishing with my father. Is there something wrong with that? I just want to spend time with my parents. I want to do like you do and have a family dinner. He's depressed. If you're driving a Porsche when you're 19, 20 years old, you know, do you really have a lot to be depressed about? According to his perspective, yeah. Everybody has a sob story. Everybody has a reason why I can't do what I'm supposed to be doing, why I'm not happy, why I'm not content. If only I'd grown up this way, if only I'd had that, if only this had not happened, if only my parents had been such and such, if only I hadn't been born in this locality, if I'd had this education, if I'd have been born during that time period, if only, if only, if only. If only. Everybody has a sob story. Look, reality of the situation. There is a vast majority of the aspects of our life which you and I have absolutely no control over whatsoever. Face facts. It's a reality. Do we get to decide when we're born? No. Do we get to decide who our parents are? No. Do we get to decide the social class of our parents or financial status of our parents? No. Do we get to decide, subhanAllah, who our family members are? No. Do we get to decide we live or born in a time of peace or a time of war? No. Do we get to decide our physical aspects, hair color, eye color, how tall, how fat, how skinny? No. We don't get to decide. Do we get to decide if we're going to be born with some form of birth defect or not? No. Any health defect or not? No. We are not. We don't even get to decide how much money we're going to make in a lifetime from the time we are born. We have no choice in the matter whatsoever. None. Period. Point blank. Reality. Established. None. Now let's get to the other side of this sandwich. Do we decide when we're going to die? No. Do we get to decide where we're going to die? No. Do we get to decide how we're going to die? No. Do we get to decide if we're going to be able to die in a particular state as a Muslim or a Kafir? No. Do we get to decide how much money we're going to make at that time? No. Do we get to decide what we want to complete or accomplish by the time that death comes? No. We have no choice in the matter. Period. Point blank. Fact. Established. None. And then we have everything in between. Islam is about courage. Courage. Everybody asks me, why can't we get our young people to listen? Why can't we get our young people to do this and that and the other? And somehow we can't get our young people because we can't get our old people to do it. If we can't get the seniors in the community to do it, why in the world do we believe that the middle-aged class and the young class are going to do it? What example do they have? Well, we tell them about Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That's beautiful words. Islam is theoretical now, or is it practical? Have we practically shown them how they're supposed to act, live, and be as a human being, as a man, as a woman, as a father, as a son, as a mother, as a daughter, as a husband, as a wife? No. We've come up short. We've come up short. So now what? Courage. No sob stories. No excuses. The same way that we will stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Yawm al-Qiyamah, we are standing in front of Him now. It is not a future event, it is occurring now. It is happening now. It is being recorded now. And what does it require? In the circumstances, in the hand that we have been dealt, it requires courage. You must now, in the face of everything that you have been handed, you must have the courage to adapt and overcome. So your parents don't understand. Be patient, have courage. You have the desires of an adult and you want to get married. I understand. But you have to have patience and courage. There is no other option. There is no excuse. This is the question that we have to ask ourselves. Can I show up in front of Allah and present this excuse? The one that I'm telling myself, by the way. Remember the thing about lying to yourself. It's very easy because the only one you have to convince is you. Huh? Lying to somebody else is difficult. You're trying to convince somebody else. Brother, the sun is purple. You see, it's because of the stratosphere that we are actually like you have to convince that individual. But when you're lying to yourself, you'll find that, mashallah, you're very ready to listen to you. You have a lot of confidence in you. You believe you are very intelligent. And you understand you like nobody else. So when you say, I have to run away and get married because I'm a man and my parents don't understand me, my community doesn't understand me, the imam doesn't understand me, you say to yourself, self, you are a genius. I knew it the whole time. And I agree wholeheartedly. That's definitely what we should do. Do you agree? Yes, I agree. So me, myself, and I, we've come to the conclusion that this is what we should do. And it is very intelligent, if I say so myself. So when you are telling yourself that, use this filter. Okay, this thing that I just told myself, will it work in front of Allah? Oh Allah, you see, what had happened was, all right, I had something on my, never mind, I don't think that's going to work. Why? It's foolish. You cannot use your situation that Allah gave you. You cannot use the conditions that Allah gave you as an excuse to do something haram. It doesn't work that way. Oh, I have a very real need to get married, so I'm going to do something haram because there's no other way for me. SubhanAllah. SubhanAllah. And where did you get that? Everybody's big on like Quran and Hadith. Nobody understands it, but you know, everybody likes using it. Do you have a ayat or a Hadith for that? So how do I know? So you young people, you've got to have courage. In everything, it's not just this, because we're talking about iffa, right? When we're asking for afafa, it doesn't have to do with this issue. It has to do with every issue. Your integrity, not just in this particular matter, your integrity in your life, your integrity as an individual, as a human being, as a man, as a woman, as a child. Courage. Like I said, the problem that we have is not a problem that it didn't start yesterday, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you. Within the ranks of scholars and those thinkers, mashallah, that we have been blessed with in this time period, in this era, that are actually thinking and pondering and analyzing the situation, looking at every aspect of it, not just in a single locality, but looking at it even on it, not even just locally, but on a pandemic level. The result and the theory is we will lose 1 to 2 generations before we start to see a reverse. We are going to lose 1 to 2 generations before we see a reverse in the situation. I don't know about you, but even when talking with them, they feel that's unacceptable, I feel it's unacceptable, but when you're looking at the equation, and you're looking at the situation, and you're looking at the obstinates even of the senior members of committees and board members and community members, this is the reality. That unless we take an active role in changing this situation, unless we help our young people deal with this situation, unless we start removing ourselves from pre-existing cultural understandings and cultural values and maintain our Islamic understandings and Islamic values, which we must first have to learn, we are going to lose 1 to 2 generations. And it's already happening. I can start now, and I can probably go until this time tomorrow, and no exaggeration whatsoever, and just give you story after story after story after story after story after story. I was in the hall and I was talking to the brothers just yesterday. Just yesterday, I'm talking to a young brother, 23 years old. Both of his parents are physicians. MashaAllah. Very successful physicians. And he is finishing his first year of madrasa. MashaAllah. Beautiful, intelligent young man. His father, when I first took my shahada, his father was instrumental in helping me to establish myself and to make that transition from one kind of life to another kind of life. May Allah bless him, bless his family. Amen. This brother is sitting with me and he's telling me about what happened with his Muslim classmates. MashaAllah came from a very, not very small, but a very close-knit community. Okay? Not a bunch of masajid all over the place. Very close-knit community. When you only have one masjid in the locality, you don't have any choice but to be close-knit. And I remember him when he was like this big, you know. I go to his parents' house and him and his brothers are climbing all over the furniture like wild animals, you know. And I remember all the little, you know, kids sitting with Sheikh, you know, in the class and learning Quran and Tajweed and Hifz al-Quran and MashaAllah. And I left and pursued my own studies and MashaAllah. So he's telling me what happened with everybody. Now you have to understand that in my mind, I'm picturing the little people, you know? I'm picturing the little people with the little faces. Running around, you know, suckers in their mouths and everything. Then I'm picturing the little people with the little faces. And he's saying, yes, Fulan, this is what happened with Fulan. This is what happened with Fulan. And this, and this, and this, and this, and this, Out of, I say, about 45 to 50 kids, 4, the other one kind of shaky right now, 4 of them came out good. It blew me away and almost left me in tears. 4. And I'm telling you right now, the community is 85% physicians. 85%. This is the reality that we're living in. If you think that you can send your children to focus on school and send them to universities and send them out in the world, and you have not instilled in them, and fine, mashallah, teaching them Quran is beautiful. Borori, you have to do it. Mashallah, bringing them to the masjid. You must make your salat. But if we don't sit down with them, understand them, talk to them, see where they're coming from, what problems are they facing, and not be judgmental about it. Because they're scared. I'm flooded. I can't handle it. And I feel bad. Between dealing with the young people and dealing with the convert community and all of it, like, you have a new convert, can you do this? You know, with this, you say, I need counsel, I've been thinking about suicide and so on and so forth. You have no idea. None. If we do not hit this situation straight on the head, if we do not wake up and say, okay, adults, we need to come together and we need to throw away whatever, because nobody wants to hear that. Have you ever tried to go and tell a parent what's going on with their child? That was no exaggeration. That was no exaggeration. Sometimes family members will tell you, you cannot tell the father. He'll kill him. They're joking. You know how much happens in the community that gets swept under the rug? Because why? The family is concerned that they will be embarrassed in the community. The family is concerned that what will everybody say about us? We will lose our status in the community. We will lose our dignity within the community. Everybody will be talking about us. We won't be able to show our faces anymore. We have to hide this. And sometimes they don't even get to the point of hiding it because they're stuck in the mode of denial in the first place. I don't want to hear it. I don't believe you. Why are you making this up about my child? This is not happening. Why are you making up these lies? You're creating problems in the community. This is your fault. It's people like you, movies. Movies' fault. All these sheikhs running around, bearded, though people causing problems. You don't understand anything. Our children are angels. I know we take their wings off every day before we send them to school. MashaAllah. You know what? You're right. I'm sorry, that's my fault. I was at home last night and I was thinking to myself, you know what? Everybody keeps calling you Sheikh. You might as well just corrupt the whole of the Muslim culture and society. You're not doing anything else. SubhanAllah. And then their kids come, crying. So this 23-year-old that I mentioned, good home, mashallah, parents are physicians. He's going to madrasa. Intelligent brother is telling me, I'm getting ready to get married. What do you mean? Mashallah, your family found it. No, you don't understand. I need to get married, Jay. You got real serious on me, like, well, you need to understand something. I need to get married. Calm down, it's not my fault. No, I'm getting married. I'm gonna find me a good girl. She ain't gotta be rich. As long as she's willing to compromise, she will be a good woman, a good mother, a good wife. I'll try to be a good husband, a good father, and she is willing to just not betray me anyway. That's enough for me. Good. She's Muslim. That's it. Done. I'm gonna find him and I'm getting married. What do your parents think about this? Who? Well, brother, just look, did you realize? I need to get married. Now. I kept waiting for him to look around, like, so he was serious. And he was like, I'm not going to tell my parents. What is the ruling for that? I need to know what's the ruling, the 50 ruling for that. Because I know Hanafi fiqh, she doesn't have to have a wali, right? Well, brother, you are really misunderstanding that. It is not like that at all. Just calm down. I'm going to get married without him. My parents are not understanding, and I need to get married now. Now, there was a brother who was sitting there with me, and we were talking about it after we dropped off, the 23-year-old, and he looked at me, he said, I looked at you when he said that, and I knew that you understood the same way I understood. He said, some brothers say that kind of stuff, and I was like, yeah, but this one, he means it. He was like, exactly. Oh no, this brother meant it. I'm gonna find me a girl, and I'm getting married. Okay? He was dead serious. Like today, unless you can tell me something different, I'm hunting. Okay? I'm going back to the madrasa, I'm going to go to my room, I'm getting my spear and a cape, and I'm going hunting. I'm getting married. I invite you to the wedding. SubhanAllah. So now I've got to talk this brother off the cliff. Brother, calm down, Don't worry, I'll talk to your father. He's not going to listen. No, he won't listen to you maybe, but he'll listen to me. Don't worry about it. We'll sit down, we'll talk about it, and just calm down. This is not your, do you know who your father is? I had to tell him stories about how his father helped me to be, because he didn't know who his father was, what kind of person he was, what kind of man he was. So then he was had some, generated some respect. So then he was like, I'm about to cry. He said that, literally. I'm about to cry. I didn't know that my father was. I said, yes, then he deserves respect. Your parents deserve respect. You cannot just grab some sister and run off into the mountains. Right? Become a sheep herder. Send a letter by raven or crow or something to your parents, letting them know that you're married. Your mother will freak out. She walks outside, there's a crow standing there with a note on its leg. SubhanAllah. But this is what we go through on a regular basis. On a regular basis. And that's the good ones. He actually was concerned about getting married. The other ones, forget marriage. What's the point? What's the point? I mean, if she has an understanding and I have an understanding, then, Is that wrong? Brother, it's called zina. Really? Even if we're not married? Yes. Still, yes. Very bad. Haram. Don't do that, okay? You mean any more? Yes. Don't do that anymore. It's very bad. Very, very bad. And you know what? When you have somebody tell you, I read a hadith, that al-ghibatu ashaddu min az-zina, that ghiba is worse, more severe than zina. He's like, backbiting goes on all the time. People backbite all the time. My mother's on the phone every day backbiting. And that's worse than committing zina, so what my mother's doing is actually worse than what I'm doing. Allahu Akbar, mashallah, we've got a faqih. Here's the next, mashallah, imam, a fiqh. He has figured this out all by himself. That since everybody is doing riba, everybody is backbiting, well, this zina thing must not be that bad. Really, sometimes I'm driving home after counseling and I'm thinking, is this, are we recording? Whew, alrighty. Nobody will ever believe me. It's mind-blowing. And then, mashallah, this is a beautiful crowd. Do you know how touchy, I said this in the beginning, do you know how touchy this topic is? I wasn't joking when I said that the skit that we started out with, that would not have been acceptable. You speak about this issue, and mashallah, I've done so in different venues, and I'm telling you, you have to walk a tightrope. It is a tightrope. And you cringe when you finish. You almost kind of like don't want to, if you look at the clock, like, should I finish? I really don't want to finish. Why don't I want to finish? Because the uncles will come. The uncles are coming. It's like a mantra in your head. The uncles are coming. The uncles are coming. The uncles are coming. I hope I didn't say the wrong thing, and if I did, it's my fault, and please forgive me, and right? I mean, you have to walk a tightrope. And I'm telling you right now, you'd rather deal with the uncles and the aunties. You better deal with, if you have a choice of dealing with the uncles and dealing with the aunties, take the uncles. Because the aunties, they don't care. They will say anything. They will curse you even. In the masjid. They have no fear. If anything, hide behind the uncles. Because those are the husbands. They're used to taking the attacks anyways. Okay? But in all fairness, as far as like from the uncle's point of view, the sisters, believe it or not, have it the worst of all. And I'm going to end with this. Because nobody ever talks about the sisters. MashaAllah, they're always like up there or back there or behind there, and nobody ever talks about the sisters. As a father of 3 girls, it's really important. This is what goes on with the sisters. I teach women also. High school age all the way to adult. And I ask them, you have got to, if you don't ask, you don't find out what's going on in the community. What is the age where you feel like if you don't get married by this age, you will probably never get married? You know what the answer was? Ajib wa Gharib. 26. 26. At 26, they feel the window starts closing rapidly. One sister started going bald from stress. I will never get married. I will never have a family. Never have my own kids. Never have my own home with my own kids. Never be able to have grandkids. All of it. It's like, you have to understand, like that inherent desire for a woman to love and nourish and the sensitivities that she has and to want to raise children is something that even we can't understand that. That's the reason why, like, when they can get up in the middle of the night and take care of like crying, poopy diapers and everything at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning and everything, and you and I are just like, okay, this pillow goes here. I gotta work in the morning. Right? When they're a Googling guy and drool is going down, and it's like, this is so cute. And like, it's drooling, it's not cute. It's drool, it's saliva going down their chin. How is that cute? It's not cute, it's spit. But it's cute. Yes, Steve. How is that? Everything that the child does is cute. Everything. Everything. Why is that? That is the intense love that a mother has for her children. To the extent that our beloved Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala compares his love to what? The love that a mother has for a child. So now this sister is facing the possibility of never having children, never getting married, never having grandchildren, the hope of a family gone. At 26, she started going bald. They cried, please talk to my parents. They start like compromising. Like before, you know, it's like, and the parents do too after a certain, like in 31, 32, the parents are like, you know, before it's like you have to have a resume. Bring your CV. Do you have a passport photo ID stapled to the top left-hand corner of your CV? No med school, huh? You want to marry my daughter. How much is in your bank accounts? No, I don't want to hear you say how much is it. I want documentation. I want proof how much is in your bank account. Right? That's at 19. By the time she hits 32, he's like, is he breathing? He's Muslim, he's breathing, which means he probably has a pulse. Does he have a prison record? Well, what are you going for? That's not that bad. We only mark off for like rapist, murderer, any of that, you know, you're disqualified. Anything, you know, hey, check fraud, it's a minor thing, you know. You can be overlooked, a one-time problem. These poor sisters, they're terrified. You know why? Because a lot of them have aunties that never got married. A lot of them have aunties that never got married. You know, the sad auntie in the corner of the party, while everybody else's kids are running around and she's watching everybody else's kids are running around, trying to mother them because she doesn't have her own kids. The conversations that take place amongst women, the niece that becomes the confidant and saying, you know, you have to get married because don't end up like me. With the tears in her eyes. The stuff that you and I don't see. The stuff that you and I don't see. And these are the sisters, now think about this. These are the sisters, because we have a large pool of sisters. Now, these are the sisters who, mashallah, who Allah has blessed, you know, physically and intellectually, and they're serious about their deen, and mashallah, they may have a certain degree of education, even might even be physicians themselves. These are those sisters. Now I ask you this, what about the sisters that we'll say, your man's like, she's a little homely, by a manly standard. All the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is beautiful, whether we understand it, can see it, perceive it, or not. Right? But what about the one that, you know, all the other women think she's ugly? What about the widows? What about the divorcees? What about the convert sisters? What about them? What are the chances of them getting married? What about those sisters who do enter into their 30s or even their 40s? What are their chances for them to get married? Slim to none. Slim to none. And then how often are their stories, how often are their cries, how often are their issues heard? Rarely. Why? Because they're always up there, back there, or behind there, which is correct. But it doesn't mean that you and I, as men, are supposed to ignore their rights and our responsibilities. These are our daughters, our mothers, our sisters. And their issues are our issues. And as men, we're supposed to be their champions. We're supposed to be their champions. When the kuffar are out there and they're saying that women in Islam are oppressed, we say, no, they're not. Which is true. But we have to stand by our word also. So my dear respected brothers, elders, sisters in Islam, these are the issues that we are facing. Solutions? Seriously? Solutions standing here and doing like 40, 45 minutes an hour, it's not even practical. Because really, if we're going to deal with solutions, we can't put band-aids on it. That's not going to work. Having the khatib stand up there and like browbeat the kids and be like, stop looking at haram, stay off the internet, and don't do this, and don't commit zina, and this is haram, and the kids are looking at that and they're like, yeah, I get that. But that animalistic desire that is in them, enough's, that's real to them too. And when they leave leave the masjid, they leave the khatib, believe it or not, it becomes more real to them than the words of the khatib. And if we sit there at home and tell them, like, you can't do this and you can't do that, and why are you doing this, and this is haram, and then they say, okay, that just means, I see you're flying in anger right now around the room. So to avoid this, what I'm going to do is do everything now in secret behind your back. You know why? Because you don't understand anything that's going on in this society anyway. So as soon as I leave that house, the clothes I wear, I'll put them in my bag. I have my own phone. I know how to delete my text messages. I have my own Facebook account. I know what to do on the internet. I know where to go to chat. I know where to meet. I know when they know everything. Kids are diabolical. They're diabolical. Once they get, they're like drug addicts. Once they get it in their mind they want to do something, they will not stop. They will be persistent and consistent in their efforts until they achieve their goal. Yes. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said more or less the meaning that youth is a form of insanity. It's a form of insanity. So we need to deal with the hustle problems, the adult members of the community, responsible members of the community. Number one, we have got to sit down together locally, within the surrounding masajid in our area, nationally, and we have to deal with these issues. And then also we have to look and analyze and recognize what are the asl issues. What are the root issues that are causing these types of problems? Number two, we have got to listen to our young people. We have got to open our ears and open our doors, and sometimes, even though we may want to kill them, we have to restrain ourselves. Say that, you know what, I love this child, and killing them is illegal. Listen to what they have to say. Give them love. Give them understanding. Be firm. It's not that all of a sudden you become Mr. Mean and Lionel, you know what I'm saying? You're like, oh, sure, I understand. You know, time's all right. You know, like, go on out there. You know, just remember Allah. You want to go to a dance? Oh, that's great. That's great. Just make sure your dress is not that short. Yeah, that's okay. No. You have to listen to them, though. They have to feel comfortable that they can come to us and talk to us about any issue whatsoever. Any issue whatsoever. No matter how shocking. You and I, as parents and adults, we must practice in the mirror how to guard and hide our shock, amazement, and surprise. Right? So when our young people come to us and they say, I'm very good at it now because I have to do it all the time. So when a young person comes and says something crazy to you, you know, you just want to like, are you serious? No. Are you so strong? My God. How long will that work? Oh. Make a room. What's so even? Ears. What? Stop talking. No, you just have to. Really? And how do you feel about that? You think that's right? I don't think that's right. But we have to listen. Young people, courage, patience. This is a situation that you have been presented. You have to deal with it. You have to find that courage within yourself to say that I am a man, or I am a woman. Because it's so great, you know, like I'm a man, you know, I need to get married. Yeah, well, be a man. Be a man. If you're saying that you have the desires of a man or the desires of a woman, fine. Be a man. Be a woman. Stand up. Be firm. Have courage. Be a Muslim. Not just by name, by label, by culture, by title. But the essence of a Muslim. An example for the whole of the humanity. with what? Your courage. With your courage and your patience. And like Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if you can do that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to provide from you, from His min fadli, from His infinite bounties. Don't worry. If your parents don't understand you, your community doesn't understand you, Allah understands you. Trust in Allah. Make your Islam more than just words and hollow actions. Live your Islam. Don't become the puppet of society. Everybody else is doing it. You're the coward that's following everybody else. So if everybody else decides to like set a bonfire and everybody else is running into it, I guess you're just gonna like hop into it. Everybody is doing it. You're gonna say, that's not right. Care how many people jump in, I'm not going. Why? It's wrong. And I got enough courage as a man, as a woman, as a Muslim, as a Muslimah to say, I'm not doing it. I will not be your puppet. I will not be your victim. I fear Allah. I fear Allah. And this is what Yusuf alayhi salam said. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us, guide us, protect us, make it easy in these times of difficulty. We are going through transitions and phases and difficulties because we are now, like I said, a pluralistic society, a multicultural society, and we are trying to navigate, we're trying to find our way. As parents, we love our children. As children, we love our parents. And as Muslims, we love Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The only thing we have to do now is may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the patience, the courage, the forbearance to listen to one another, to work at these problems, to come up with the solutions that we find in our deen. To come up with the solutions that we find in our deen. To come up with those solutions that we find in our deen, al-Islam. So that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant us ease and comfort after the hardship. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide us and use us as a means of hidayah for the whole of humanity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us the ability to die in a state of iman. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will raise us amongst the mu'mineen, the salihin, on Yawm al-Qiyamah. And that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will enter us into Jannah as the ummati of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. جزاكم الله خير الجزاء وآخر دعوانا